The views and opinions expressed by the guest author or speaker during this live session are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Reader's Magnet. The content shared is for informational purposes only and does not constitute endorsement or promotion of any particular belief, ideology, or product.
Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another awesome day here at RM Hive, and you're tuning in to Reader's Magnet's featured author interview. I'm your host, Revan, and some storytellers are shaped by a lifetime of experience and service. Today's featured author grew up embracing responsibility early, a mindset that carried into a long career in education. For over 2 decades, she worked with students and families across diverse communities, championing inclusion and opportunity for those often overlooked. Now, she brings those experiences to her writing. Grounded, compassionate, and deeply human. Let's welcome the author of Puerto Rico Lighthouses, Amparo or Ammie Medina. Hi, Amparo. Thank you for joining us here today. How are you?
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be here with you today again. And
Again, yes.
and it's great to be with the audience, those who are logged in.
Yes, and you know what? For all our viewers out there, Amparo Medina's book, Puerto Rico Lighthouses, will be displayed at the LA Times Festival of Books this April 18 and 19. And she will also be there to sign copies of the book. So if you're gonna be there at the University of Southern California during the LA Times Festival of Books, go ahead and check her out at the Reader's Magnet booth. She will actually sign copies of the book if you have questions about her book. She's also going to have a talk there in our mini book confab, and check her out. Check the other authors as well, and she will have a great story to tell. And because if you have, for all our viewers out there who have seen our previous conversation, we did talk about this book, and it's a really good book, and it it will actually help you, get the story within the perspective that she saw when she was there and traveling across Puerto Rico, and get some shots of these different Puerto Rico lighthouses, and these have their own stories. And if you are that type of person, this one is perfect for you. And mid Amparo, can you tell us about this book, Puerto Rico Lighthouses?
Puerto Rico Lighthouses is a Spanish English book that talks about the Taino Indians, the colonizers, which were Spanish and Italian that came to the New World, they called it. And they call the natives Indians because Columbus thought he had arrived in India. Nope, it was a different place. Then they named it America and
Mhm.
so forth. And how they made the lighthouses to protect the island from other invaders. They started with one. The one in San Juan was the first one that they did. And it did
Mhm.
take them 248 years to complete that because it was on 70 acres of land and they were
Mhm.
building tall walls so that nobody could penetrate the walls of the bay. And
Mhm.
they wanted to make sure that the lighthouse was a key place for them to
Mhm.
have somebody guiding the ships coming into the port.
Mhm.
Also, they could see if somebody was trying to get in.
True. You know what? This is my favorite part of the book, because Medina Amparo also actually has photos of the different lighthouses, and these different lighthouses have their own stories, and I love that it's available in two languages. So yeah, and that is actually really good for people who want to learn Spanish as well, and English. And it's rare to actually have this book with two languages, which actually connects people around the world, and not only that, for people who are visually learned, or actually learns through visual cues, they can actually see stories with the photos as well, because photos tell a lot of stories, and these are in the perspective of Amparo, and she really has this, nice shots there. With I believe she also had a help with her friends as well with some other photos, and these are from her travels as well. And I really love when she talked about that, and this is what I love about this book, and this is actually one of my favorites to talk about when I have my friends, and I always tell them, you know what, these are the types of books that I read because they have photos very strong, and the perspective of the photo, and they sure tell a story, and they're available in two languages. So, Amparo, I wanted to ask you, what first drew you to the story of the Puerto Rico's lighthouses?
My name is Amparo.
Mm-hmm,
Amparo means refuge or
mm-hmm,
protection.
mm-hmm.
And that's what lighthouse do for the
True.
ships out at sea. So for a long time, I didn't know. Um, I like the lighthouses, but I wasn't sure
Mm-hmm,
why it was such a passion. And
mm-hmm,
then in conversation with one of my sisters, she made me more clear about
mm-hmm,
why this was such a passion. And
mm-hmm.
then I decided to make it a lifelong journey. So
Nice.
this was my this is Puerto Rico Lighthouses.
Mm-hmm.
It's a flip book, English and Spanish,
Nice.
and anything else that I write will also be a flip book, and it will also be in English and Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be coming out with a new book in April, which we'll talk about at another time,
Nice.
but also having to do with Puerto Rico. And because I love lighthouses and the deep meaning that they carry, and as
Mm-hmm.
you said, they have a story that many people don't understand or many people have not heard.
Mm-hmm.
Many people have not experienced, because if you've not gone to a lighthouse, you have no idea what it looks like from the inside. And I
True.
don't mean the actual architecture or the actual building, but what happens there, the different possibilities that could have happened in those buildings. And today we know that there are many ways that the ships use GPS, and they use
Mm-hmm.
satellites, and they use all kinds of different navigation systems.
Mm-hmm.
But the lighthouse, a functioning lighthouse, is still
Mm-hmm.
there, because all those
True.
things could go away.
Yes.
But the light of a lighthouse will always shine.
I love that. The light of the lighthouse always shine. Even though we're already in a progressive world, people using GPS and things like that, but the lighthouse is still there, guiding the sailors, from all of those accidents. They could have accidents in the sea. And I love that you actually related to your name, Amparo, meaning protection. And that what is the lighthouses are doing. And I just really love how you tell that story, because it's true. Because lighthouses today are still being used, even though we already have the GPS, all of those things. But at night, the lighthouses still guide the sailors. They are still functional nowadays. So, Amparo, how did your background in education influence the way you wrote this book?
My background in education influenced a lot of what I
Mm-hmm.
do in life. I'm a giver, I'm a teacher, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
caretaker, and that's what teachers do. They
Mm-hmm.
take care of the children in front of them on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always my purpose to help children understand their history, where
Mm-hmm.
they came from. So when I started teaching seventh grade social studies in the curriculum, there was no New World.
Mm-hmm.
The Caribbean, although we know it's there, is
Mm-hmm.
not in the curriculum. But
Mm-hmm.
me as an educator, I taught the Caribbean first
Mm-hmm.
before starting with the Americas and going on to the other natives. So it influenced because it gave me a parameter of
Mm-hmm.
where to start and not to forget my roots and where I
Mm-hmm.
came from. And many of the children that I worked with were Latinos.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I was reading the comment that somebody was making. I'm sorry. So many of the children were Latino children, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not generally taught in the school. They go
Mm-hmm.
directly into the pilgrimage from Europe and England to the
Mm-hmm.
New World. Well, what there was people there before that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make sure that my students had factual evidence that there was
Mm-hmm.
people there before,
Yes.
especially my Latino children. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
them to be able to understand that, yeah, they came, but we got here
Mm-hmm.
first.
Yes. So those lighthouses also tell the story. You're right. So even though if the lighthouse are not full in their full form, it's just the foundation that's left. They still tell a story that people were there, like many hundreds of years ago. Could be that. So how do lighthouses reflect Puerto Rico's history and identity?
Okay. Um, Puerto Rico is a tiny little island
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by hundreds of other little islands. So
Mm-hmm.
the lighthouse held the purpose, and that purpose was to guide ships directly
Mm-hmm.
into the port. Because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, as I'm sure you know, and many people know, there was a lot of wreckage in
Mm-hmm.
the 1500s because there
Mm-hmm.
were no lighthouses. There was nothing that guided people into the ports. And in creating the lighthouse in Puerto Rico, although it took 248 years,
Mm-hmm.
in the 1800s they already had.
Mm-hmm.
Cuba and the Dominican Republic were colonized before Puerto Rico, but
Mm-hmm.
somehow um, it took about the same time to do
Mm-hmm.
lighthouses there. And because Puerto Rico is a strategic location on the world atlas,
Mm-hmm.
Puerto Rico lighthouses point directly into the Atlantic. So
Mm-hmm.
coming in from the Atlantic, from Europe, those are the lights that they can see first. So I like to
True.
say that the brightest beacon in the Caribbean or in the
Mm-hmm.
Atlantic are the lighthouses of Puerto Rico.
Yes, I love that. The lighthouses of Puerto Rico from the Atlantic. So these are the first light that the people will actually see when traveling overseas, and which is such a really good, foundation when talking about stories of Puerto Rico. And I love that being a teacher, you can also say these facts as well, and these are really true, and you can share this, and that's why it makes me excited for you to to share these stories to the other people as well when you go assign copies of your book at the LA Times Festival of Books. And I would want to see you do such thing as well, because excited about this. So are there other untold stories you feel called to explore next?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I do
Mm-hmm.
have another book coming out
Mm-hmm.
at the end of April. And
Mm-hmm.
anything I write will always have a lighthouse, will always be in Spanish and
Mm-hmm.
English, and will
Mm-hmm.
always be a flip book.
Love
So
that.
remember that, everyone. It will always have a lighthouse because of the symbolism that
Mm-hmm.
comes with a
True.
lighthouse.
Yes.
A lighthouse always lets its light shine. And it
Mm-hmm.
is my favorite saying to everyone, let your light shine bright.
Mm-hmm.
So my new book is going to be a little different. It's a
Mm-hmm.
children's book. It's illustrated by my friends in Readers Magnet, which are
Mm-hmm.
doing a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it includes a lighthouse, and it's something that was inspired to me by things that I've done in Puerto Rico. And although
Mm-hmm.
that section of Puerto Rico does not have a lighthouse,
Mm-hmm.
it has a little island with a reef. In that reef, there's fish and other
Mm-hmm.
sea
True.
creatures. That's what my story is going to be about.
I love that. And I'm so excited for the children to actually get to know more about this from the children's book, which is also letting them, um, getting the metaphor of the lighthouse and knowing about the lighthouses of Puerto Rico as well with this children's book. I love that move that you're doing. And for all our viewers out there, we have Amparo Medina. She's always writing about the lighthouses, and it's going to be in English and Spanish, and it will always be a flip book, which is really unique. You learn English from this, and when you flip it, it's already in Spanish. Very unique take of a book being published, and it's really good to know that there are these types of books, and I'm really interested in it. So if you are a collector of book, we have these types of book by Amparo Medina as well. So Amparo, if readers take away just one feeling or idea from your book, what would you want it to be?
I want readers to understand that our history is
Mm-hmm.
very important.
Mm-hmm.
And through the lighthouses, that we always need to let our light
Mm-hmm.
shine super bright,
Mm-hmm.
because me, you,
Mm-hmm.
Raven, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone have a bright light that we need to let others see, so that we can help each other.
Mm-hmm.
We can be kind to each other.
True.
In today's society, people are so far away from family, so far away from each other. And the most important thing is making money,
Mm-hmm.
getting over, growing, getting better and more expensive things.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not worried about our neighbor. We're not worried about our family members. We don't worry about what people need. And we
Mm-hmm.
need to be helpful to each other. And yes, self care is important, because self
True.
care is very important. But
Yes.
I need to care for other people too. History, my history is important. And
Mm-hmm.
we didn't get here by chance. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't get here by mistake. We got
Mm-hmm.
here because when those people were in Puerto Rico having a hard time, they worked together.
Mm-hmm.
Our culture says that. Our culture
Mm-hmm.
tells us that we need to
Yes.
work together, even with invaders, even with the Africans that were brought to work and were enslaved in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to work together and learn from each other.
Mm-hmm.
When we learn from each other, we're much better people, and we are
True.
wiser. We are wiser because we are learning other cultures, other traditions, other music styles, others' history. There's so much to learn, and learning is one of my passions. And what
Mm-hmm.
I suggest everyone do, learn
Yeah.
something about anything every day.
I love that. Learn about something every day, which is actually true because when you learn, you get to understand a lot of things that's happening in the world as well. Nice. So, Amparo, I'm going to give the spotlight to you. I'm going to give the stage to you and tell us where we can find your book and if you have other projects to promote as well.
Yes, my website is www.lighthousesoftheworld.com. In my website, you can see other articles and other things that I have written about exploration, about culture,
Mm-hmm.
and especially about the book Puerto Rico Lighthouse, which
Mm-hmm.
you also have there. There is a short synopsis of each
Mm-hmm.
lighthouse, and there's
Mm-hmm.
a picture
Nice.
of each lighthouse, and explains different fun facts about the
Mm-hmm.
lighthouse. It also has um, other places that are near the lighthouses that are free that you can go
Mm-hmm.
visit. Because when you're making a trip to a lighthouse, generally it's a long trip. And if you can do two or three things at the same time, why not? Going to a lighthouse generally doesn't take very long. Yes, the drive is generally long. In Puerto Rico, from the from my house to the one in San Juan, which is the closest one to me, it's only about 15 minutes. But the
Mm-hmm.
lighthouse in San Juan is a historical site, and it has a lot of activities that you can
Mm-hmm.
do there. But there are other lighthouses that there's only the lighthouse there. There's
Mm-hmm.
vendors usually, and there's food generally, but there's nothing else to do. So once you finish looking at the lighthouse, I want you to enjoy the town. I want you to visit other places in the town that
Yeah.
carry history and are fun, and most of them are free.
Yes, most of them are free. All right, Amparo Medina, everybody, get your copy of Puerto Rico Lighthouses available on her website. That's www.lighthousesoftheworld.com. And I believe the book will soon be available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble as well. Once again, it's available on www.lighthousesoftheworld.com. Okay, Amparo, it has been an awesome time with you here at Readers Magnet once again. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Yes, and guys, let's open the pages and unravel the secrets of your personal odyssey. And I believe that your ink never runs dry, so go tell your story, you storyteller. This is your host, Revan, and as we say it here at Readers Magnet, we share your story with the world. Bye for now. Stay awesome.
Have a good evening. Thank you, everyone.